All right, real quick so we don't get confused. This is the SP2 by Ontario. The next one is your ASEK. So let's start this review and deep in-depth look of these two knives. Wonderful knives, both of them at different price points. The ASEK right there and the SP2. The ASEK will run you about the $100 range, and the SP2 is going to be in about the $30 range. Two very different knives that supposedly should hold about the same position in your knife arsenal as survival knives. One of which I really cared for more than the other. I'm going to let you guess which one that is. The ASEK that I'm holding in my hand right now, you can see that it has serrations, and it also has that saw, which is on the back of both these knives. I am not a fan of these saws. I see no reason for them. They do not work very well for what they're made to do. They don't scale fish. They don't cut wood. They don't do much of anything except for injure your fingers when you're trying to get more control over the blade. Even though the ASEK, the way theirs is shaped, does allow you to baton because they're arched forward, so in that sense they do work well. Now on the ASEK, I'm demonstrating that we do have a false edge, and that false edge is very comfortable actually. It does not hurt your finger when you want more control over your knife, which is really nice. It also has a butt cap there that is very suited to hit stuff, used for a tool. Here on your SP2, you have it's a saber grind, or you can say it's a V grind. I'm not a big fan of that at all. You have a flat grind on the ASEK, which makes it a much more effective cutting tool, a lot easier to resharpen, especially due to the fact that it has a hardness rating of 50 to 54 on the Rockwell, while the SP2, on the other hand, with its saber grind, it's at 57, 59 Rockwell. I mean, in all honesty, the ASEK is a lot sharper than the SP2, the black one. The coating on the ASEK is a zinc phosphate finish. It's a very nice finish. It does not interfere with any type of cutting. It doesn't make the knife slippery or interfere with the task that the knife is made to do. The knife doesn't come very sharp out of the box. I mean, the front portion does, because the grind is actually done after the finish is placed on the knife. The serrations, on the other hand, are done before the coating is put on, and basically, when you put that coating over your grind, it's gonna dull the finish. It's gonna dull the serrations. Very easy to fix that. The sharpener that comes with the unit is absolutely beautiful. It fits into those serrations very easily, unlike the Gerber LMF, which is another survival knife that has 4 different sizes of serrations. The ASEK has one type of serration, which the sharpening system fits in perfectly. So you put your sharpening system in there, you grind back and forth, and you have yourself a razor sharp edge again. I actually very much enjoy sharpening up the ASEK. Here's the system it comes with. It comes with the sharpening system, a belt cutter, and an oxygen wrench. Like I said, the sharpening system, look at that. It fits literally right in there. You go back and forth. You do that to each individual serration, which takes you about 10 minutes to do. I did it until the coating came off. Then I flipped it over, reflattened the surface on the other side, because the idea behind that is to have a completely flat surface on the other side. And now the knife is absolutely razor sharp. It maintains its edge wonderfully. You can see that I threw in my GoPro footage. I'm batoning wood. I'm testing this. My little daughter, she's testing it. She really didn't like the SP2. She enjoyed the ASEK because its cutting ability, it grabs a lot easier on the wood. It actually made it usable for my daughter. I'm over there making a fire, just using the knives for what they're for. The debate over batoning is always out there. People say it's knife abuse. There's no reason for it. I live in the East Coast. It's wet. It's moist. Branches are moist. Everything is moist. Little branches are covered with poplar bark that is just, it's a sponge. You need to be able to baton wood, and you don't need to abuse your knife doing it either. The ASEK allows you to do that with its false edge. On the other hand, the SP2, the black knife, has a swedge, which is razor sharp, and it destroys your baton that you're using. So it's literally, you cannot really baton with it effectively. The ASEK, you will baton with it, it'll go right through your wood, and you're in business. I really like this knife. The SP2 is a $30 knife. For the price point, it's pretty good. I mean, the knife is comparable to the ASEK, which is a $100 unit. But that sharpened swedge, there's really no reason for it. I don't see the reason for it. I did stabbing tests with both knives. They both performed identical. I really don't see what the purpose of that is. The full flat grind on the ASEK is just ingenious. It works so well. The knife is so controllable with that fantastic grip. I mean, it just feels wonderful to hold this knife. And I'm going to do a video on all the survival knives and survival systems that I have. I am actually adding this to the top 3. When you see my top 2, you will know that I mean business when it comes to a survival knife. A knife that's a standalone unit. No need to bring an axe, no need to bring a hammer or anything like that. So we're just going to move on to the ASEK. The SP2 is a nice knife. I found that the coating got in the way. It made the knife slippery. It's a $30 knife. For $30, great price point. I can highly recommend it for that price point. But we're going to move on to the ASEK and discuss that a little bit more. The ASEK is a survival system that our military uses. Our air crew carries the knife on the right-hand side there, which is your survival knife that's been in our system since the beginning of time. It's a nice knife. Now it has the saber grind, which I am not a fan of. It does make the knife incredibly durable. Very popular for military style knives. But I am so happy that Ontario decided to go with a flat grind with this knife. Both of these knives are made out of 1095 steel. Yes, it's corrosive. It can corrode, but with these coatings, you really don't have to worry too much about that. The blade steel, when it comes to Rockwell's, the hardness, 50, 54, 57, 59. There's a lot that goes into that. Everybody's like, well, that's 59. That means the knife gets sharper. I don't buy that for a minute, because the ASEK has a lower Rockwell than the SP2, and due to the geometry of the blade and a lot of other factors, the knife gets a lot sharper than the SP2 did. The butt cap on these on this new one, now I wish it was flat, but I do like it. I don't see a real point for a glass breaker on this. We have escape hatches. We don't, I don't know. I don't foresee anybody ever needing maybe to crack a skull, but that's about it. But I like the butt cap, and I wish it was flat because it makes it more usable for things that you would actually use it for. You have a lot of control with this knife, even though you do have that saw, which I don't see a need for on any of these knives because they don't perform even on dry wood. This saw is angled pretty nice where it is actually somewhat comfortable to hold. It's not going to cut through your hand, but that false edge is actually pretty comfortable. You do have a flat spot. The angle that you would hold the knife, it does provide a nice spot for your finger, so you do have control over carving small sticks to make traps, make spoons, or whatever you want to do. That's a pretty hard piece of wood that I was carving on. That's bamboo, and being bamboo, you can see that it cut it really nicely. The old knife, you can see that if you use that pommel on the bottom there and actually used it, you would actually be damaging the knife itself where it secures to the back of the pommel. So that's really not a good system. This new system is, you can beat the living crap out of the pommel and you're not going to be damaging nothing. I batoned with this knife and didn't have an issue. That's a picture of the LMF, Gerber LMF system. Now the straps being of higher quality, I'll give Gerber that. But the Gerber LMF actually broke in a 2-minute video, so I really cannot support that knife. People said that I abused it by batoning. I'll let you guys make that determination, really. I don't like this knife compared to the ASEK. I will give the ASEK, out of 10 stars, I'm going to give it 8 stars. I really am. And I really, really like this knife. I like it, period. I can completely recommend this knife. As for being full tang, I don't believe it is. I did want to take an x-ray of it because there's nothing online showing that. But I do believe it's probably a rat tail or not a complete full tang knife. But there is a lot of strength there. And I did baton with it pretty good and nothing gave. There's no rattle or anything like that with the knife. Everything's still secure. So I would say it's strong enough. I'll give it my thumbs up on that. There are different systems that you can have, so you're not spinning a bundle. This picture shows a smaller system that would probably save you about $20 in the overall price. You can see me there batoning more wood, removing that outer wet wood. You can kind of see how it's a sponge, just full of water. Like I said, over here on the East Coast, it rains always. And you're looking at just basically a pile of mud. I got tired of using the SP2. The SP2 is a nice knife, like I said, for the price point, but it's just not up to par when it comes to comparing it with the ASEK. I ended up using the ASEK for everything. Really split wood nice, carves nice, makes feather sticks, very easy to resharpen, and being easy to resharpen, usually that knife won't hold its edge. I didn't resharpen the whole knife when I was, basically giving it a nice test run, and I'm holding it right now, still haven't resharpened it, and it still is extremely sharp, could slice paper, cut the hair off your arm. It maintains its edge, obviously. I didn't record everything that I did with these knives. Obviously, I recorded just a few segments. I really wanted to give them a good test and get a good feel for them. It's another picture of the ASEK-2. It's a nice shape, especially that top portion. You can really you can really hold that knife to get some good control over it. But I found the coating made it pretty slippery, and it just didn't want to really grab very well. I guess, it comes really sharp, but I would have to actually change the geometry of the blade a little bit to get the cutting performance I expect out of a knife. But a very tough knife, I will give it that. That is a full tang knife. That is a full tang, and that is a very tough knife. You'd be hard pressed to break that one. Matter of fact, if you look at the video, you can see me actually performing a little sawing with these knives. I didn't get it quite on camera like I wanted to, but you could see that the saws are pretty much not very effective at all. The ASEK did get about an inch into that wood, but you're talking a lot of elbow grease, just a lot of wasted energy. I'm not building a house out there. You can see, like right there, I got in there about an inch. The SP2, on the other hand, it was completely ineffective. It did not go into the wood at all. Nothing. It just slid back and forth. I mean, it did nothing. Like I said, I don't know what the saws are for. Never have really figured that out. Never really have. I'm going to talk about the serrations a little bit. A lot of people really knock a knife for serrations, and I do too. I know how to sharpen my knife pretty good. But I'm here to tell you that the serrations on this are real simple. It's a very small style serration. You don't have the typical really big thing that looks like the pinky of your fingernail in there. I found them very easy to resharpen. I found them extremely sharp and just a simple deal. They really are. They're not very big. They're very unintrusive. They're just a little bit higher than the grind of the blade, period. I was very happy with them. I'm actually glad these serrations are on this knife. I am pleased with them. They really do cut. I don't like the direction there are on the knife. I wish they were on the opposite direction. I feel that they would grab a little bit better when you're trying to carve. But, you know, I might change my mind on that. And I did note that with the LMF also, the Gerber LMF. But I can see why they placed them on this side, especially when it comes to trap making or maybe having a little bit more control over your knife, especially when you're using it in the direction of your body for detailed work. I mean, I like the direction that they're placed in, and I'm actually really pleased with the serrations. Don't let that hold you up for getting this knife. It is definitely not a negative. If anything, I'd give it positive marks, and that's a very unusual thing for myself to say, especially from a guy that really knows how to sharpen his knives. I found that the serrations are nice, and they're a good feature to have. The only drawback, the only thing I can knock this knife for is the saw on the top. Not a big fan at all. I found the handle very comfortable. I found that I found that you could really get some really nice control over the blade. The tang area is very short. The cutting edge starts really early. So this knife is all business, and I'm really pleased with the way they started the grind very soon. You don't have a tang which is like an inch long. It's about a 1/4 inch, and then it goes right into the business end of the knife. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it went a little bit long, but I hope you guys enjoyed the footage I threw in there, and I can highly recommend both these knives, and especially that ASEK. Take care, guys.